and a bomb. Now, what happened was probably within 15 or 20 seconds that engine restarted, but it didn't just start, it went bang! It exploded. As I say, when you got the throttle forward like that, the fuel's going through at about 4 gallons a minute. And it just exploded into life. And I just turned towards the coast, thinking I'll be ditching this, hopefully. And all the gauges worked beautifully, correctly, and the plane was running smooth, so I did probably the wrong thing, but I rejoined the formation and went and bombed and strafed and came home and ran up the engine, perfectly good. Told the engineers, perfectly good, they couldn't find a problem. They put it back on the line, and luckily the next pilot that flew it that next morning was in my tent, Cliff Brady, and he had the same stoppage, and it stopped and then started again, so he just dumped his bomb and landed again quickly. The mechanics thought it must be fuel, so they changed the carburetor, and 2 days later, this is all very, what's the word? But anyway, the fact that it happened the third time, and the date was the 13th. That's what it is. Yeah. And Graham Howie from Orangeville was in there. It stopped, never started, and he was killed. So I was a bit lucky there. In 2011, a chap was doing a documentary up in Bougainville, and he went out and he'd read my book, and he got the natives, and he photographed this plane still lying there, 5394. Anyway, so that was my second tour. Jackanow Bay was my third tour. That's in New Britain, just south of Rabaul. And because we were closest to Rabaul than any other squadron, we were just south of them everything from Green Island was moved to Jackanow Bay while I was at Bougainville. And so we flew the same planes again that we'd flown at Green Island, at Jackanow Bay, and we sort of supervised the surrender, or involved in that leaflet, with escort Venturas dropping leaflets and all that, and I personally escorted a Kate torpedo bomber from Rabaul down to our base at Jackanow Bay, and I flew in tight formation because I was leading a section by then, and we had to be over the airfield at 9 in the morning, and I did, and the Japanese pilot took off. Now, we had 3 Zeros and a Dyna already come down to Jackanow Bay, but this was a Kate torpedo bomber from Pearl Harbor sort of thing. And the pilot flew west instead of south, so I had to pull in beside him. And I was very conscious of kamikaze pilots, but I had to pull in behind his right wing and give him hand signals. But I was all ready to hit the stick over if he sort of made some untimely move towards me, but he didn't. So anyway, but that aircraft now is in the Pacific Aviation Museum in Pearl Harbor being reconstructed. And I've had the CEO of that museum come and visit me in Tauranga because that was the last Kate ever to fly, and I flew with it and steering with hand signals. And then following that, I actually was posted in the 14 Squadron because I'd been in 16 Squadron. I was posted in the 14 Squadron and spent 12 months in Japan, as most of you know probably. And we were based at Hiroshima, at least 20 miles from Hiroshima for a whole year. That was quite an interesting year. But we nearly lost the entire squadron in Dakota on the way home to New Zealand. Our Dakota pilots did the longest flights in the world, I think, 6,000 miles from Whanuapai to Japan, 6,000 back again. One pilot, one engineer, and one navigator. Now, we were halfway between Manila and Morotai Island, that's in the Dutch East Indies, north of Darwin, when all of a sudden there was a screech and the plane went like that, and the pilot had been back sitting on a crate of beer bottles talking to us. They used to cut the Australian Air Force had bases at Morotai Island, and they did their maintenance, so our boys would take half a dozen crates of beer down to them. And Doug Holloway, the pilot. Now the strange thing was, Doug Holloway was a warrant officer, non-commissioned, flying a Dakota, full of, apart from myself, I was the only non-commissioned pilot. All the other pilots were commissioned. It just happened that none of the NCOs wanted to go to Japan without commissions, and two of me, Keith Wakeman, two of us, Keith Wakeman from Christchurch and myself, but only two agreed to go as NCOs, but we became warrant officers, so we got actually more pay than a pilot officer. However, to finish this off, because Doug Cross got an Air Force Cross, Doug Holloway, an Air Force Cross for this episode, where this thing screeched, and we were flying into the top of big cunims and stuff, and we actually flew into a tropical front with heavy rain on the roof. What happened was an oil pipeline broke in the prop mechanism, and it stuck into fully fine pitch on the port motor, and so it wouldn't hold height, partly because of what the beer we were carrying and a few other things. He used a minimum descent speed, because Doug told me afterwards, of 90 knots, and that holding it that had the minimum descent. Now, Doug Holloway, warrant officer only, and he always flew at 11,000 feet, and other pilots flew at 10,000. Now, when we got to Morotai, after descending in a tropical front in the dark, we were less than 1,000 feet. And if it had been at 10,000 feet, we'd have been in the sea. So I was pretty lucky. Now, to finish that off, though, about 5 years later, Doug Holloway was burnt to death in a tiger moth near Partia, top-dressing. Well, I could carry on, but anyway, that's about my time limit, I guess. I'll just quickly show you three things. Well, that's 61, the one that I flew, and I went to Timor and did some aerobatics in it 2010, so. For those who don't know, what is that aircraft? Now, the interesting thing is, in my logbook here, that's 5648, and I have flown, that's in the logbook, 47 and 49, the one each side. This one didn't go to Japan because in the Aviation Historical Society's publication I've got of every registration in the on the Air Force, there's an asterisk beside this one's number. And there was some query about its manufacturer's number or some minor thing, but it didn't go to Japan. And that's the one that flies now. So that's 48, and I've flown 47 and 49. In total, in 2.5 years, I flew 113 different Corsairs. Anyway, that's about as much as I've got time to mention, I guess, or say. I hope that's been of interest to you.
Definitely, thank you.